I'll do it tonight.
מקדש ושכנתי בתוך ואנחנו נברך יה נצח
Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome to our annual Pride Shabbat service. We have a very special guest speaker with us, and we'll hear from him a little bit later. My name is Judy Henn. I'm the clergy associate at Temple Beth Zion. I'm joined by our musical soloist, Zach Steinberg, and all the wonderful people that are with us here, and hopefully those of you who are joining us on streaming. So, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We have a special prayer book this evening. I owe you an apology because when I put this prayer book together, I didn't put any page numbers on it. So I'll never be able to say, please turn to page 23, but hopefully you will be able to follow along, and we're going to begin with Sanctuary.
Prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for Asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocha v'anachnu nevarech yan le'adam le'hadolam. God prepare be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
And now it's my great pleasure to invite Beth Steinberg, our religious school director, up to lead us in the next reading and to light our Shabbat candles.
Hareini mikabel alai et mitzvat haboreh, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take on myself the Creator's commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. As we prepare to kindle the lights of Shabbat, we remind ourselves that flames of passion can be lit to bring good and truth to our world, or they can bring destruction and ruin, burning everything to the ground. Let the flames of these Shabbat candles remind us to love our neighbor as ourselves, to light the flames of justice and mercy, equality and equity, making sure that no one ever has to sit in the dark because of who they are or who they love ever again. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivonu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you, Beth. And now it's my great pleasure to invite Gary and Anna Marie Richmond up to lead us in the next reading.
Makor HaChayim, source of life, you have blessed each of us with your spirit. In your wisdom, you have made each of us a unique treasure, Ma'ayan Chayenu, wellspring of our lives. Cause us to flow with courage, strength, and compassion, to live our stories openly, proudly, and joyfully.
Shekhinah Shel Ahava, presence of love, you embrace us with your love. May we embrace ourselves and our partners, our lovers, our friends, our children, our dear ones, with the power of your Ahavat Olam, your unending, boundless love.
Ruach HaShalom, spirit of peace and wholeness, open our eyes to the gifts and blessings we offer and receive from each other. Open our hearts to welcome each other fully and truly. Open our hands to embrace, to support, to lift each other, Begila, Verina, B'Shalom, Uvre'ud, with joy, with song, with peace, and with deep friendship.
Join us, please, together on this Shabbat as we celebrate renewal, pride, and community. Let us walk together with strength, compassion, and love. Nevarech et Ma'ayan Chayenu, Tekadesh ut Samechach, Otanu ve'et HaShabbat. Amen. We bless you, wellspring of our lives. May you fill us and Shabbat with joy and sanctity. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. We're going to continue with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalalai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Shamor v'zachor b'rivorecha, Ishmianu elam yuchad, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, v'shem u'tiferet b'lichila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalanai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalanai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Lecha Shabbat, Lechu v'necha, ki mikol ha'bracha, merosh mikerem nisucha, sof ma'aseh v'machshava tehila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalanai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalanai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Hitori, Hitori, Kiva Orea, Kumi Ori, 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 Shir Daveri, Kevod Adonai, Alayich Nigla. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalanai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Kala, Yalanai, 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 B'nei Shabbat, Lecha V'ela.
Let's rise and face the door and welcome in the Shabbat bride.
Oye v'shalom atzeret zmana, gam b'simcha u'sol. בתוך אמוני הסגולה בוהיך לה בוהיך לך דורי לי יללה 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 ונשמת נקבלה.
We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish, which is our bridge, our connecting prayer that connects all the introductory stuff we just did with the main part of the service. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ba'alma divrach rutei v'yamlich machutei b'chayechan uv'yomechan uv'chayrecho beit Yisrael ba'gala ba'gala uv'izma'an kariv v'meru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei amaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitchromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudisha brichu le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'alma v'meru amen. We continue with the Baruchu, the call to worship. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light and swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither and all. Together, may the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define, we can always say a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We read responsively on the next page. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. You who love us not in spite of a single thing, but because we mirror everything you have shown us at creation, because we are as you made us, how can we learn to love ourselves and each other as you love each and every one of us, unconditionally? Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchutzo.
Please be seated.
Please join me in chanting V'ahavta together. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanta levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'aterech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם לאות ayatecha והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי ויצאתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read responsively on the next page. We have been with you. We were there when God handed down our truths at Sinai. We were there when the temple fell and when it was restored. We cried when Jerusalem fell, and we helped to raise the flag of blue and white over the state of Israel when it was reborn, and Jerusalem was once again in our hands. We were with you in the resistance. We were with you in the camps, and we helped to liberate them. Everlasting, a light burns within us, eternal, like yours, like you, we too have survived. While pages can be torn and burned and obliterated, a collective memory is eternal. It can only ever be constantly shared, refound, held, and embraced like an old friend. Let us dance through the sands of time and share our truths with one another, so that what is mine can be claimed as yours, and so that what is yours can be claimed as mine, and we can rediscover each other as brothers and sisters in God. Please join Zach in Michamocha. V'ne'emar ki fara Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch ata Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. And we turn to the next page. Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Praised are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Within each of us, an individual truth burns. Please join me. There's nothing magic about my voice. A fire lit by the divine, yet fear of how others will react when we share our light may dampen its ethereal glow. Adonai, help us to know and understand our truths. Please give us the strength to reveal them to our companions on this journey. May we lie down in peace and rise up true to ourselves, so that we may rise up to answer your calling and to do your will. If you are able, please rise for tefillah.
And while I do think that Judy's voice is wonderful,
Well, thank you.
I also enjoy the congregation. atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotzeinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim V'Koneh Yaakov V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imachot U'mevir Gula Livnei Bnei Ham Leman Shemo V'Yahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatah Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Ve'ofech Olim Umatzir Asulim Umekayem Emunato Lishem Afar Michamocha B'Gevurot Umidom Melech Melech Memitz Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman atzal chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei Yaakov Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kadoshim b'chol yom yechalu chaselha Baruch atah Adonai Amen HaKadosh.
Please be seated. Our service continues with a responsive reading. Wake us up, Adonai, wipe away the sleep from our eyes. Let us be complacent no more. Allow us to see that which we try to hide from ourselves. Force us to see the truth, though we cannot bear it. Allow us to see our own humanity in the eyes of the stranger, in the tears of the hungry, in the fear of those kicked out of their homes merely for who they love, and in the hope on the faces of those who have fled their homes due to war and violence, and who seek safety on our shores. Shock us, Adonai. Deny to us the false Shabbat, which gives us the delusions of satisfaction amid a world of war and hatred. May our actions, not our words, reflect our answer to your holy call.
We know a Shabbat where we discover a new part of our own humanity through someone else's eyes. Make us know that the border of the sanctuary is not the border of living, and that the walls of your temples are not shelters from the winds of truth, justice, and reality.
Disturb us, O God, and vex us. Let not your Shabbat be a day of torpor and slumber. Let it be a time to be stirred and spurred to action.
May we know a Shabbat of hunger, a Shabbat of longing, a Shabbat of worry, so that we may know what it means to sleep in the dust. And may the echo of your shofar's cry sustain us, so that we may rise to act.
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, you can join me please, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yira na'avod. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'chana lehodot. On the next page is a picture of a young boy. And I've interspersed a few pictures through this that is not necessarily part of the liturgy, but just something for us to read and to think about. I thought this picture was a good introduction to Shalom Rav, which is our prayer for peace. I always say you can't pray for peace in enough different languages, and tonight we will settle for Hebrew and English. You can't pray for enough peace, especially with what's going on in the world today. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata
Together, grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Let's take a few moments for some silent prayer and reflection. There's a lovely picture on the next page that might stimulate some thoughts, but as I always say, if you have something personal you would like to share with God, this would be a very good time to do it.
עושה שלום ברומא, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ברומא, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום ברומא, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ברומא, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום ברומא, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
I like that one. We're going to take a few moments at this time to bring into our midst those members of our community who are in need of healing. We know that COVID is still with us, maybe a little less virulent, but with us nonetheless. There are also people who are struggling with a whole variety of illnesses and challenges. Today we mention specifically Christy Aldridge, Gaetan Barnard, Cynthia Brown, Christy Carson, Melissa Kochavi, Stacy Donovan, Rabbi Ellen Weinberg-Dreyfus, Helen Urquila, Linda Friedman, David Froman, Sharon Froman, Leslie Garfinkel, Rick Gratch, Rabbi Fred Green, Renee Knight, Rabbi Dara Lerner, Mark Mansfield, Richard L. Marceau, Fredja Marmer, Allison Mazurek, Cruz Rios, Ari Sobel, Paul Staley, Mark Yablin, Neil Zions, Joseph Zito, Miriam Bela Bat Nechama, Tirza Yehudit Bat Sarah. If there are other names that should be mentioned, people to whom we would like to send our healing energy, please call them out beginning to my left. So for all those people whose names we've mentioned, and if there are people watching the live stream who have names they'd like to mention, please call them out in the privacy of your own homes. For all those people whose names we've mentioned, for themselves and for their caretakers, we wish a complete refuah shlema, a complete healing of body and spirit in whatever manner that healing is meant to manifest itself. Misha Berach.
אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing. With refuah shlema. Renewal of body. Renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen.
Let me start that again. We're privileged to have with us this evening a man who is the executive director of GLIS, and I know what GLIS is, but I didn't know a whole lot about it, so I went on their website, and I'm going to share with you what it says. GLIS provides a safe and positive environment for LGBTQ+ youth to learn more about themselves through peer interaction and educational experiences. The organization creates opportunities for emotional growth and community awareness. Through GLIS outreach, other agencies learn about and increase their sensitivity to the needs of gender and sexual minority youth. GLIS provides LGBTQ+ youth with positive role models and a safe space while promoting positive self-esteem and the integration of these youth into the larger community. GLIS can also assist youth and their families by providing resources and referrals. Members range in age from 5 to 21 and represent many racial, ethnic, religious, and class backgrounds. So tonight we have with us Jack Kavanaugh, the Executive Director of GLIS. Jack is a social worker with over 15 years' experience in youth programs and nonprofits. Jack brings his passion for supporting LGBTQ+ youth and a deep roots in Western New York to provide GLIS the resources and support we need to provide excellent services and advocacy for our youth and their families. I am so pleased that Jack has agreed to speak to us this evening and share some insights, some education, and his passion for the subject. Thank you, Jack. The bima is yours.
I wrote that, and it's always fun to hear. Awesome. So I'm a bit of an extemporaneous speaker. I don't really write stuff out very often. I do have some notes, and I'm going to put my phone out to keep track of time, because otherwise I'll be talking much longer than I think any of us want me to, and I don't want to hear myself talk that long either. I'll give a bit of a background on GLIS as well as myself, and just talk through a few things that I think are some reflections that I've had over the past few weeks. So GLIS has been around for 40 years, actually our 40th anniversary next year. I've been in this position now since the beginning of this year, but I've been involved with GLIS in a number of capacities since I was a young person myself. GLIS offers a number of services. We do drop-in supports, we provide training and resources to youth, we provide case management services, advocacy, and lots of individual mentoring and support, among other things. I'm happy to talk more about those specific programs and services afterwards if you'd like, and it's on our website, and you can read about it there, and I won't be redundant. But I do want to share a bit about myself and my story, and how I ended up here, as well as, again, some reflections that I've had over the past few weeks. So I grew up as a member of Temple Beth Am. I did not come to Beth Zion until I actually was in high school. Spent my last 2 years here as a youth group member. And I just this week I talked to my parents and I said, why did we choose Beth Am when I was a kid? Because Beth Zion, I grew up very close to here. It was not an easy drive out to Sheridan every week. And they told me exactly kind of why that happened. And so I come from a same-sex couple. I have two moms, Barbara, who is comes from an Irish Catholic family in New Jersey, and Lynn, who comes from a Jewish family from Long Island. And it was important to Barbara that we were raised in some type of faith tradition, although she didn't particularly care which one. She just felt like it was important we have that support and that community and access to some type of history and I think moral education. For Lynn, it was important that we were raised Jewish, and I think that it was really meaningful for her that myself and my brother were raised in the tradition the same that she was. And so Barbara told Lynn that, that's great. You have a year to find us a synagogue that's going to accept us as a family for who we are. And so she went to every synagogue in Western New York, including Beth Zion and Beth Am. And when she went to Beth Am, she had a sit-down, a conversation with the rabbi. It was Rabbi Mason at the time. And, Rabbi Mason said to her and said, I want you to be here, and I want you to know that I see you and affirm you as a family unit, that you are here and seen and accepted as an entire and affirmed family. It was really important to be able to hear that, and I think that's one of the themes I really want to pick up on and share with you is how important it is to have access to those types of spaces and relationships and people that are willing to look at you and say, I see you for who you are, for all of who you are, and I love you and appreciate you for it. The other thing he said was that to say to them, I want you to know that if I ever do anything or say anything that you find troublesome, problematic, offensive in any way, I want you to know, because I would like to learn and I would like to grow with you and to make sure you're included here. Now, when she went to some of the other synagogues, Beth Zion included, not a negative experience. It wasn't something that was like, oh no, this place is terrible. I'm never gonna come here. But it wasn't that same sense of active inclusion. And I think it's really important to remember that, right? When we're thinking about how are we creating and building a community for these young people that we serve, LGBTQ youth ages 5 to 21, what are we doing to make sure that that active affirmation and inclusion is happening in all of the spaces they exist in? Simultaneous to this, over the past week or two, I was thinking a lot more about my personal relationship with Judaism and my own history. And for me, that always starts with my name. So Jack Kavanaugh does not sound like a particularly Jewish name, right? That's my very Irish Catholic name. My full name is Jacob Edelman Kavanaugh. And I think that there's two reasons I think that's an important place to start. The first one is the reason my name is Jacob Edelman Kavanaugh, and Jack Kavanaugh is a family name. It's both my grandfather's name before he passed and my uncle's name before he passed, before I was born. And their names were John Anthony Kavanaugh. That was their names. My mom wanted to give me that family name, but because of her relationship, because of her sexual orientation, the family did not want her to do that. And so in a way of being able to kind of meet her own needs and wants and be able to affirm herself in combination with navigating complicated family relationships, Jacob Edelman Kavanaugh became that compromise. I think it's also important because it allows me the opportunity to navigate when I decide I want to share parts of my identity with people. There's so many people I know that I've had known for years that would not know that I was Jewish, that I was raised in this tradition, that this was a huge part of my life for a very long time because, they look at my name and they say, oh, that's Irish, that's not part of this. And I think about that in the context of a lot of these young people that we work with and their inabilities to be able to share whole parts of themselves as well. To have to police, when do I get to say, this is who I am? When do I get to say, I'm going to share with you my full identity and self? In the same way that I was able to police that within my own identity, both in terms of my Jewish identity as well as, the reality of having two moms. That's something I wanted everyone to know all the time about me. Not out of embarrassment, but out of, concerns for safety, concerns for, honestly, sometimes just not wanting to deal with the weird questions people would ask. And so when we talk to a lot of our youth that we serve, these are the stories that we hear. So much of it is about, I am not able to be who I want to be, my full self in these spaces I live in. And so much of GLIS for our history as an organization, and this is true for a lot of LGBTQ serving organizations, we built this refuge We build this refuge and safe community where they could be who they are internally in our own space. And that's really important and that's really powerful, but it's not enough. It's not enough to say, hey, we recognize that the rest of this world doesn't see you like we do. We recognize that it's toxic. We're gonna build this little safe space you can come by once a week and then have fun in the world that doesn't see you or love you in the same way until we can see you next time. And so those safe and affirming spaces that need to be existing in different communities are absolutely critical. And so when I reflect on those stories that I hear, as well as the history that I have personally with my own name and my Jewish identity and the stories that have been passed down to me from generations of this idea of the fear of safety, the fear of personal safety in being able to share who I am entirely. And hiding those parts of identity has been an unfortunate common thread throughout Jewish history as well. Not being able to use the last names we wanted, having to hide what types of prayers we're performing, having to speak in other languages. This is an unfortunate common theme throughout Jewish history that we also see, frustratingly, for a lot of these young people. The consequence of that is seen, quite frankly, in so every year, the Trevor Project, who you may have heard of, is an LGBTQ plus youth mental health services agency specifically focused on suicide prevention. They release a survey every year that outlines their findings around suicide rates, ideation, and supports for LGBTQ plus young people nationally. They released their study, their 2022 study came out about a month or two ago, and I was reading through it. And what they found was over the past year, 45% of LGBTQ plus young people seriously considered suicide over the past year. When we're talking about transgender and gender nonconforming young people, that number is over 50%. What they also found was that the single biggest intervention for these youth was access to safe spaces and affirming relationships, especially at home and at school, and other community resources, faith communities, community centers, and things like that. And to me, the idea of access to these safe and affirming spaces is not just a question of, it's a question of keeping these kids alive. And I think that it's really important to center that when we have these conversations, because when we want to access why it's important that we do this work and why I think it's important that I'm able to share this with you is in the creation of those spaces in as many different pockets of their community as possible. We want those young people to enter into every different space, whether that's school, their synagogue, their home life, their grocery store, any space, and feel like they don't have to pretend to be someone they're not in order to stay alive and in order to feel safe. And I think that to me, to bring it back to sort of the beginning, to me, that's the difference between the experience that my parents had going to Temple Beth Am and getting this sort of conversation with Rabbi Mason around, you're not just, hey, welcome here, you're your congregant, we see you, you're the same as everyone else, but saw them for who they are as a family, as a unit, and it was actively affirming, wanted to learn more, wanted to engage, and did that outreach. These types of spaces only exist if we push them and want them to exist. Spending time thinking about what are we doing actively to engage and create spaces that are more welcoming. So much of the work that we do is partnering with community agencies, working with schools, to help them develop these types of spaces within their own community, looking at their policies and procedures, looking at forms that they use. One of the examples I always use from my own personal life was when I was applying to college. I went to a small liberal arts school in Maryland called Goucher College. One of the reasons I chose it, one of many, was because when I was filling out the application, it was one of the only schools I applied to, if not the only one, that listed parent 1 and parent 2 instead of mother and father on the application. I was talking to one of our young people the other day when they were also applying to colleges, and a bunch of their schools reached out and asked them, hey, on their application materials, what pronouns to use, we want to, have that on our file. Of all the schools that went out of their way to ask that, only one of them actually used them in the letters that they got later. Like, why even ask if you're not even going to, it's honestly, it's just lazy. It's a find and replace Google, Microsoft Word. It's not. But only one of them did, and that's the school that they're going to. That's the school that they'll be attending next year. And so these things matter, and the intention matters, because what they do is they signal to the community, they signal to all of us, this is a place that's safe for you, this is a place that cares about you, and this is a place where you are seen. I felt similarly when I visited Goucher. Goucher is a very significant Jewish student population. It was a student body of about 1,500 students, but enough they had a separate kosher dining hall, and Hillel the room was massive. And it was another one of those moments where I felt like, okay, this is a place I want to be because I know there are going to be people here who share my background, understand who I am, and know that I can be who I need to be in these spaces here. In the same way that it signaled that to me, or when I walk into a friend's house and I see a mezuzah on the door, I can say, okay, I know this is a space for me. We have to work on how we're building those out for young people, for LGBTQ young people to be able to know that all of the spaces that they walk through are spaces that are accessible, that are affirming for them. And it doesn't happen on its own. It doesn't happen passively. It happens actively through engagement, through relationship, and through acceptance. And so I think I hit everything on my notes. I think I hit all my bullet points. But I think the most important thing for me is really remembering, and if I can leave this with you, is to really consider what are the ways where all of the spaces where you exist, whether that's here, at your workplace, in your family, with young people in your life, what are we doing to make them know that they can come to us and talk to us about these things? If we have young people in our lives, are we the person that they would come to if they felt they were struggling with some part of their identity? Are we the adults that they would say, you are someone that I know will see me and appreciate me for who I am and I can have this conversation with? And if you feel like you are, and you could be that person, what are those things we're doing to signal that to them? What are the things that we're showing to them that say, I am someone who sees you for this. I am someone who you can come talk to. And I think that it's really important we do that because, again, I can build as safe a space as I can in our office, but they're only going to be there a couple hours a week. They're going to be out in a world that may or may not see them, love them, or care about them in the same way, or they might not know or appreciate that there are people who see them and love them or have that capability to have those conversations with them, unless we're out there really showing them and telling them this. Because I can tell you these kids feel incredibly alone and incredibly disconnected. And so many of our spaces we can create opportunities for that connection and that support. So I encourage you, if you have young people in your lives, to make sure you're doing what you can to support. We're always available at GLIS for any young people who are working through any type of identity. They want to have conversations around their gender identity or sexual orientation or whatever it is. If they just have questions, that's what we're here for. We offer supports for parents and families as well. So please, I encourage you to really spread the word about us. Like I said, I've been around for 40 years, and it still stuns me that there are so many people in the world that don't know that GLIS exists. But there are, and so I'm always grateful for the opportunity to share a bit about our work and make sure that if one new young person hears about our services from this, then I will be more than thrilled. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for indulging me and listening to me talk for a little bit, and hopefully, we can provide some collective action to build a safer world for these youth.
Thank you so much, Jack. I have always believed that obviously the youth is our future, and that if we can reach our youth wherever they are, then we've gained a great deal. We're a step ahead. And at this time, I'm going to invite Ken Graber, a member of our Board of Trustees, to come up and offer greetings from the board and make some announcements.
Thank you, Judy. Shabbat Shalom, and Jack, thank you for being here and educating us. Thank you very much. I'm Ken Graber, which I think everybody knows. there's several things coming up, and I just want to highlight them. First of all, Friday evening services are generally at 6 o'clock. Next week, however, will be an exception to the rule. We're greeting Rabbi Brent Gutman and his family, and the whole weekend is going to be festivities, shall we say. We're going to have services start at 7 next Friday, preceded by a happy half hour at 6:30, and followed by a very nice Oneg Shabbat. So if you can come, I know you really will enjoy that. Saturday, generally, Torah study has been on Zoom, and next week it'll be live here and remote. You can also see it remotely, but that's at 9:15. 10:30, likewise, Torah Saturday morning services will be here and also on remote. Monday, July 4th, we're having a program called Schmooze and Snack, or Snack and Schmooze. Snack and Schmooze, all right. I should know, I'm the chairman, all right. It's at Broder, and it's going to be from about 11:30 to 1:30. We're going to have pizza, we're going to have salad, we're going to have ice cream, and we're going to have a bubble man, and we're going to have music. So this is another opportunity to come and meet the rabbi and his family. It's free. Just please, if you can, contact the temple office, and if you make a reservation so we can plan accordingly. July 12th, that will be a paid-up dinner for the sisterhood. It's a luncheon, excuse me, not dinner, luncheon. And if you are a member, you don't have to pay. I don't know what they're going to charge if you aren't a member, but it's easier to join. I'm sure most people received in the mail the documentation about that. July 14th, the Sisterhood is starting a program, the Book Nook. I don't know if they've had it in past years, but I believe it's going to be quarterly now, reading a book or going over a book and discussing it. The book will be Friday, The Rabbi Slept Late, by Rabbi Harry Kellerman. And that brings us up to the next big event, July 16th, 716. It's another opportunity to meet the rabbi and his family. That'll be at Broder. It'll be Havdalah service. The service is at 8:30. Beforehand, there'll be a fire pit. There'll be an opportunity to eat your dinner. We're not going to be providing food, but you can bring your own dinner. And we have a really nice time to meet people and talk once again. What else is going on? There's so many things going on. I have to write them all down, right? Last but not least, the temple has been very involved in helping refugees and helping particularly the Afghan refugees. I know we have 2 apartments. There'll be 2 families. One family is coming soon, and they're looking for different items to help them. Certainly money would be, I had it, there it is, okay. I had too many pieces of paper. The first, I know the first one has 2 adults, a 9-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl. So if there's any items that could be donated that a family would use would be great. But in particular, they're looking for silverware, cleaning supplies, towels, bedding, blinds, shower curtain, dishes, cookware. You could contact Dave Goldberg and Miriam Honig. They are the chairs of our committee to deal with that, or call the temple office and they'll be able to either give you some ideas or connect you with whoever. So with that, I think I reached my end. So thank you all, and Shabbat Shalom.
So I have to tell you, I have been looking at the advertising for this Havdalah, and I kept seeing 716 Havdalah, 716 Havdalah, and I just assumed it was our area code until Ken just said so. I didn't realize it's also the date. Boy, do I feel silly. July 16th. And now I invite you all, if you are able, please rise for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. We remember the nameless, the hidden, the countless who died in public, yet alone, surrounded by the oppressive walls of the closet, those who passed away before they could show the world the brightness and beauty of the light they held within. Today, it is the Yahrzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Louis L. Berger Sr., Honorable Robert Arnold Bergman, Rosemary Bilski, J.E. Brett, Dr. Edgar R. Kofeld, Sheridan M. Crystal, Cecile Douch, I. Larry Dopkins, Irving S. Firestein, Leonard H. Frank, Martha Friedman, Rose S. Gerstenfeld, Sally Joseph Glasser, Dorothy L. Goldberg, Maury Goldstein, Alvin H. Gutman, Seymour Hesch, Louis Karnofsky, Lena Warner Kempner, Frida K. Kriegler, Marie Irma Lazarus, Sally Callett Lerman, John Siegfried Levi, Molly Levy, Alfred M. Lewin, Gerald Melton, Molly M. Milch, Samuel Milstein, Orpha O. Newman, Morris G. Perlstein, Maurice J. Pausner, Matilda Wild Reisman, Dr. Harold M. Robbins, Joseph Silber, Max Silverstein, Jean Spivak, Olive D. Stern, Tilly Strom, Al C. Taylorson, Edward P. Tregash, Dr. Ilya J. Weinreeb, Lenore Weinstein. If there are other names that should be mentioned for Kaddish, please call them out beginning to my left. Thank you. If it's your custom to recite Kaddish with the mourners, please rise and join me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah ba'almad yivrach rute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechonu v'yomechonu v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agalau v'zman karev v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach la'olam u'lamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitchromam v'yitnaseh V'yet hadar, v'yet ala, v'yet halal, shmei dekudisha, brichu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, ta'amiran ba'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shalom al rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom bimrumav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to us, to all Israel, to the whole world, and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say together, friends, Amen. And now I invite Zach to lead us in Kiddush. We're still in COVID, so of course we can't invite you all to take a piece of it. I'm sorry, so I get to go home and make bread pudding or something out of this?
Song together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen. Our closing song on the last page of our beautifully made Pride prayer books. We'll finish with Sanctuary. Thanks for everybody for coming out, for joining us tonight. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, and tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Vasuli mikdash v'shachansi v'chocha v'anachnu v'nevarech ya le'atah
Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Jack Kavanaugh. I am delighted that you joined us this evening. Thank all of you. Thank everyone who came to see us on Zoom. Please join us in the back of the Sisterhood Chapel, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I like that song.
Thanks. Nice. I like your prayer
Thank
book.
you, Zach. That was fun.
It was great having Jack here.